Yeah. Oh, pee is a whole nother
Pee's
story.
another story, yes.
I've gotten peed on by so many lemurs.
Hello, I'm John Rossi. I'm a touring drummer with a passion for animal conservation. When I'm on the road, I spend as much time as possible visiting zoos, aquariums, and conservation organizations. Now, I want to share those places with you. I'll be talking to keepers, vets, conservationists, anyone who can help me in my mission of connecting my people to animals through their people. Join me on my Rossifari. Hello, 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 and welcome back to the podcast that is looking forward to schooling you about zoos, the Rossifari Podcast. Now, of course, I'm saying that not because I'm here to school you about zoos, although I guess that is what I do, but because today we are going back to a school that has a zoo. So I know I've got a lot of new listeners since the whole drumming with elephants thing. For those of you who have not caught up on the back episodes yet, let me tell you about one of the most amazing and magical places in the country. In New York State, there is a high school that has a zoo on grounds. It is the Millbrook School. And it is the Trevor Zoo. And this is an AZA-accredited facility where high school students get to go and be the zookeepers and the curators and do the work. And of course, this is AZA. So they totally have, adult zookeepers and adult staff. And the director of the zoo, Dr. Alan Toussaint, is this incredibly passionate educator and zookeeper. And he's amazing. This place is wonderful. If you like this episode, if you like what you hear, go back. I've done other episodes from the Trevor Zoo. And honestly, these are all unlike anything else you've heard on the podcast because we're talking about a zoo at a high school. And one of the cool things about the Trevor Zoo is that they don't just let the students do the thing. They really take good care of them. They have a strong leadership structure. They do a lot of really cool stuff for the students who are super interested in the zoo, which, by the way, these students are called Zooies, which is adorable because everyone who listens to this podcast is also a Zooie, and we all know it. The whole reason this episode is happening is because two of the student curators were taken on a trip to the AZA Annual Conference in Baltimore earlier this year. And you may remember that I was there as well. And I bumped into my good buddy, Dan Cohen, who does a lot of the PR work and everything for the zoo and who, helped me set up the original interviews at the Trevor Zoo and is just a great guy. It's fun to have a buddy who's, in the zoo world like Dan. It's really cool. And I bumped into him. I literally just saw him and was like, hey. And I was like, I'd love to, come back to the school and talk to some students at some point. And he's like, we've got students here. And I'm like, at the conference? And yeah. And so we ended up setting up an interview at the conference. This is so cool. I thought it was just awesome. And of course, the AZA conference is just scheduled, day and night nonstop. So what we decided to do was meet up the final day of the conference before the conference got started. Now, y'all may remember, I am a professional musician by trade. I do not do mornings. But for this podcast, I'm willing to. So I think we got there around 7 o'clock in the morning. And by the time we all got set up and everything, it was roughly 7:15 when we did this interview. And we all had stuff that we had to be at 8 o'clock. So I'm going to tell you, this is a shorter episode. We get in right around a half hour of interview, and then we've got to run off because we had to go to the various presentations that were happening at the conference that day and go learn how to be better zooies, all of us. So it's a short one, but it's really, really cool and a lot of fun. And before I tell you exactly who we're talking to and everything, I'd like to remind you that the Trevor Zoo currently has a baby red panda. a pandlet, as I like to call them. And they're doing a voting contest for the name of that red panda. So you can just go on their website. I'll have it in the show notes and everything. And you can go to their social media and find links. And you can go and you can vote for the name of this baby red panda. I'm recommending that we vote for JZ, which stands for Junior Zoo. So Zoo is the father and, one of the pandas at the zoo, obviously. And just the idea of JZ being the name and it coming from that is adorable. I'm a little offended that Rossifari isn't on the list, but maybe next year. Maybe next year, Dan, we'll talk. But anyway, so you can go and do that, and I think it's a really great opportunity. It's a pay-to-vote situation, but all of that money goes to the zoo and their conservation efforts and all the good work. So, shut up, give them money, and vote for Jay-Z. And then after you do that, make sure you hit subscribe on the podcast feed that you're currently on so you don't miss any episodes. Make sure that you follow along at Rossifari on all of the socials except for TikTok, which is at Rossifari Pod. And if you'd like to support the podcast, you can do so by going to patreon.com/Rossifari. For as little as $3 a month, you can become a patron and get bonus audio and all kinds of cool other stuff. So, without further ado, I'm going to get to the interview here, all right? We are talking to Hannah Coon and Ann Najork, who are student curators at the Trevor Zoo, and you're going to get to hear about what brought them to the zoo and what it's like being a high schooler who is not only doing zookeeping duties, but is also a leader amongst their own peers, which is an incredibly cool and honestly, incredibly challenging position to be in. So without further ado, here is my interview with Hannah and Ann from the Trevor Zoo at Millbrook School. And why don't you both tell me who you are and where you, quote, work?
All right. My name is Hannah Coon. I'm a student at Millbrook School, a senior at Millbrook School. And if you don't know, Millbrook School, right across the street, is the Trevor Zoo. So the zoo is affiliated with the school. So other than being a senior at Millbrook School, I'm also one of our head curators, student curators at the zoo. So that's probably my biggest leadership position.
Awesome. And you?
Hi, my name is Ann Najork. I'm also a senior at Millbrook School affiliated with the Trevor Zoo, and I'm also a head student curator at the Trevor Zoo, and that's also one of my biggest leadership positions.
Very cool. And so the Trevor Zoo is at a high school. We've talked about this on here before. If you guys haven't caught the episode, make sure you do. It's good stuff. And it is the only high school that has a zoo other than the class of students at it in the country. And it's really cool, and it's AZA-accredited. And I'm really curious for both of you, did the zoo bring you to the school, or did the school bring you to the zoo?
I would say, for the most part, the zoo brought me to the school because I started volunteering. I live locally. I'm not a boarding student at Millbrook. I'm a day student, which means I commute. And my mom is also a faculty member there. So I was exposed to the zoo very early, one of my favorite places to visit. And then my mom learned about the volunteer opportunity open to ages 13 and up. And so she was able to sneak me in at 12. Very grateful for that.
That's awesome.
So I started volunteering this summer, after seventh grade or before seventh, one of them. But all I know is that I've been volunteering / working in some capacity for about 6 years now. So I was in the program, the volunteer program, way before I entered Millbrook. And so I know I wanted to keep in touch with the zoo and keep close. So that was a huge factor in my decision to apply to Millbrook.
Okay, before you go on, Ann, I have one question for you, Hannah. So 6 years working at a zoo already, a third of your life, roughly.
Yes.
And you don't drink coffee. How is that even possible?
I am very wary of caffeine because I see how it turns my parents into zombies. Sorry, mom and dad. But I get by on non-caffeinated tea. I the placebo effect. I pretend it's caffeinated, and drink a lot of water. And, sometimes I am a zombie without the coffee, but as long as I am not addicted, I am A-okay.
Yes, I'm also not addicted, he says, while sucking down 24 ounces of the beautiful, beautiful black gold. Mm. But yeah, so anyway, man, what's your story here?
So I actually have a sister who's a year older. So when we got to 8th grade, we were searching around for high schools because we weren't sure if we wanted to go to the classic ones in our town or expand a little further. So we did the good old Google search and found Millbrook on our list. And for me personally, when I looked at it, because when I'm older, I strive to be a vet.
Okay.
It was definitely the biggest factor for me having a zoo, because I saw literal teenagers being able to get hands-on action, where most places they're a little bit more weary of kids handling animals, especially at a zoo in a place with a little bit larger animals. So I thought that was really unique, and that was the leading factor in why I chose the school.
That's so awesome. That's very cool. And all right, so student curators, what does that mean? I know it's a leadership position, but explain to my audience how you lead.
So Millbrook has when incoming freshmen come to the school, there's a 3 community service program that they have to do, where it's a rotation of farm, because Millbrook has a small farm on campus, recycling, we have recycling bins in all our buildings, and then the zoo. And so fall, winter, spring, you're doing one of those 3 for that trimester. And I missed my zoo session when I was a freshman because I was slated for spring, and then COVID hit. But we have about 70 freshmen that come through that program in the zoo. So at any point in time, we have about 20 to 30 freshman students in the zoo. And that's what curators do, is that we make groups out of those freshmen. We lead them, we educate them, we shadow our staff, but the curators are responsible for being that bridge between the staff at the zoo and the students. So we do a lot of education about feeding, diet making, cleaning exhibits, and just kind of lead them around. Education is the hugest thing that a student curator is expected to do. The groups that we manage are about 4 students large usually. And like Anne said, we don't have any large carnivores or larger animals at the zoo. So pretty much we have access to any animal. Even protected contact species like our lemurs, we just have to be a little more careful, and have a little more training on that side about shifting animals and stuff. But we have access to pretty much any animal. So you rotate around the zoo. I think every curator is assigned about 3 animals throughout the year, and you rotate with those groups throughout those 3 animals. And I've talked for way too long. Anne, do you have anything else to add?
Since it is a smaller zoo, as time goes on, you do learn and get trained on how to do almost every animal, because I've been here for 4 years and I've also came in the summer and on breaks to help out. So whenever you're interested in the zoo, you are always available to reach out to any staff, because we do have a small crew, which makes it more intimate, and we're able to really communicate on a deeper level and try to improve programs. And it's not too difficult to ask for help or want to implement new enrichment items. So it's very available to anyone.
It's so cool to me knowing that y'all are not only learning, but like you said, taking an initiative and like, oh, hey, adult staff that does this for a living, let's try this. And they're like, yeah, I'm here for it. That's really cool, because I'll be honest with you, there are zoos that are not with high school students that have that problem where keepers will say, hey, we should try this, we should do this, and it doesn't work out. So it's very cool, both that y'all have that, but that you and your teams are willing to take that initiative and do the thing and make it happen for the animals, because that's really what it's all about.
Yes.
What I'm curious about, though, is so you guys are bosses. I know that's not the term, but you're in charge of your peers, high school peers. You
Yes.
might want somebody who you are taking care of to take you to whatever the equivalent of prom is at your school. Like, you know what I mean? Does that ever feel weird? Or especially, and with you living there, like, you know, so my day job is I'm a touring musician, okay? And I'm also the music director of my tour and everything. So I literally, just like that, I'm not only with these people, but then I give them notes. I tell them when something is wrong, and then I crawl on a bus with them and we all sleep on it. And it's like, so to me, it feels a little weird as an adult doing that. Does that ever feel weird to y'all as you're doing that, having to coach your peers?
I would definitely say it's a factor when we are trying to get work done and someone's like, well, I don't really want to do this, because there is factor of scooping poop and physical manual labor when you're doing zoo activities. So you have to walk the line of strict, but also trying to make it fun and creative for those kids who aren't as skilled or imaginative and see the value in working with animals. So if you walk across the street, it's like a minute walk at most to get to the zoo for most places on campus. So there is that divide, almost like a line, because you walk across the street and then the zoo's over there. Because most of my leadership happens across the street, I'm able to separate it
Nice.
more.
Good.
Yeah.
That's really smart. Actually, I will tell you that not only in leadership, but in life, the ability to draw strong boundaries like that is wildly important. And the fact that you are doing that, you know, kind of intuitively right now is really awesome.
I would say where Anna's good cop, I like playing bad cop more often. I usually level my Hannah glare at them. I'm kidding.
I just saw it, y'all. It's a little scary.
I'm kidding, mostly. A lot of our curators are selected by staff, and we also get a little bit of a say in those decisions and training. So our curators are very respectful and engaged and want to learn. If they have any questions, they jump out of their seat to ask us in the kitchen or when in exhibits. And like Anne said, there's that divide, even though they are so closely related, there's that divide between when you're in classes in the school and in the zoo. In the zoo, your peer curators recognize that you have more knowledge than them and that you are their senior. And so they're not hesitant to reach out and ask questions, because Anne and I are nice for the most part.
Yes.
I
would agree with that.
And once you get back onto campus, you go to lunch with them. Everything is normal again. They're your friends. They're your peers. You go to classes with them. So like Anne said, that there is this equality when you're at the school, but then when you get to the zoo, they recognize that you've been there for far longer than they have in most cases, and that you're someone to go to if they ever have questions, if they need help, if they need advice. We're here for them.
It's a similar dynamic in the dorms too. Like outside of the dorm, everyone will play together on the quad or the grassy area and have a good time, play games. And in the dorms, we have dorm leaders, so they're kind of like RAs in college that will help you, especially because they're upperclassmen, especially for the freshman girls or boys that come in. They're able to get that leadership, and then they know this is my senior, because sometimes they get privileges and they do extra roles in the community. So it's just a balance between the community and social type part.
That's awesome. It is my opinion that will set y'all up for success in life far more than any of the algebra that you learn. I mean, education is wildly important, don't get me wrong,
Yes.
but that kind of thing, if I could tell you how many leaders I've seen fail at much bigger things in adult lives when it really, maybe matters more than school as you've moved on from that a little bit,
Right.
because they don't have those abilities. Like hearing you guys say that is really inspirational to me, because I am wildly focused on leadership.
Mm-hmm.
We talk a lot about it on the podcast, and everything that y'all are talking about is exactly what you need to be a successful leader. So
Thank
that's
you.
really
Yes.
cool. Yeah, especially having a good glare.
Yeah,
It's important. Yeah.
it is important.
Hannah has it more down than I do. I need to focus in.
My curators are a little scared of me, but I think that's healthy. Fear is good. I'm kidding, I think, again.
Awesome. So I have been to the zoo a couple of times, and it is lovely. And I'm curious what for each of you is your favorite animal to work with and why? And go deep here. Tell me species, name,
Okay.
all that stuff.
So for me, it definitely depends on the day and my mood because I work with different animals each day. And sometimes one animal will just be very energetic or not wanting to listen. And then you're just very frustrated after a long time because we have time constraints, definitely with having to get to classes. Then other days it'll be very easy. I'll be like, oh yeah, I'll come with you. And like, especially if you shift them out. So I would say my top two, I really love the red pandas because we had a senior red panda. He passed away last year.
Right.
And he was very interactive, like because he was in a holding area because of his age. So he didn't fall off perchings or anything like that. You're able to like unlock the doors. He would crawl out sometimes and just get moving, very interactive, always have a smile on his face. And just the connections and almost the experience that you have with that animal really made that big for me.
Mm-hmm. Also, red pandas are the best.
Yeah.
I mean, scientifically proven.
You have one on your laptop, so you get it.
I'm obsessed. They are my favorite animal by a lot. I was going to yell at you guys if somebody didn't mention red pandas, so good job.
Yes. And we just had a cub this year.
Yes,
so
I know.
Super excited.
I know, yes.
For him, actually, it's a boy.
Yeah, I know. It's so exciting. And you actually got to do the birth announcement for that, right?
Yes, I did.
So I watched. First
Thank
of all,
you.
really nice job. Really nice job. Dan was
Thank
like, you
you.
need to check this out. So I did. And was that like a special moment for you, or was that just like another, like, yeah, this is just like part of what we do?
It was definitely for me, just because
Because it was a special moment for me. So
yes, like I mentioned in the announcement, she had 2 cubs last year, but one was stillborn, and then one just didn't survive. So we definitely had our challenges, even though red pandas are notoriously really bad first-time moms with their like 13% survival rate.
Yeah.
So we had to go back to the drawing board and see what would happen there and letting her rear the cub, because hand rearing them doesn't really work just because of their sheer size and almost lack of ability to live, being blind, deaf, and a whole other list of things. So it was a really big deal that she was doing a fantastic job and that the cub continues to grow, and we're super excited. I can't wait. In the fall and winter is their season where they'll be out and running around.
I also can't wait. I'll be back up. I mean, I can't wait. Betsy was at Central Park before coming to y'all. Yeah. So I've known Betsy. I spent a lot of time in New York. I've known Betsy for years.
Nice.
And we kind of wondered, because she was on a breeding wreck at Central Park and nothing came of it. And then she goes off to happy little Millbrook and suddenly it starts to work out. But like you said, real high mortality rate, and that's totally fine. And, you know, I mean, it sucks, and scientists are working on it. It is what it is. But now, there it is. There is the cub. There he is. Yes. And, yeah, I can't imagine, I just can't imagine being in high school and getting to announce the birth of a red panda. Like, that's just awesome.
Yeah, it's very magical. It's surreal almost, because in 50 years, we don't know if these animals are still going to be here, and especially red pandas. So that was a big one.
Redpandanetwork.org, and you can help them be there, folks. Don't forget. But yeah, so Hannah, tell me things.
If you asked me this question a year ago, I would have definitely been stuttering and listing at least 15 animals and saying, I don't know, they're all my children. I can't name them. I don't know. But so there's a class at Millbrook for seniors called the ISR, the Independent Science Research class. And I wanted to do a study with our Jeffries marmosets because Monica McDonald at the Reproduction Management Center is doing a study with, and our marmosets are included. She's looking at progesterone and the difference in progesterone levels in dominant females and subordinate females. And I thought that was really cool. So I'm doing something a little bit different. I'm looking at both corticosterone and going to do hormonal assays in like a lab setting, very technical. And then I also, for 2 hours a day, sit outside of their exhibits and use Zoo Monitor to track their behavior and see what they're doing. And that's really fun. And I thought they were a little creepy before I started this. They got like bright orange eyes and they're like flying stinky squirrels.
But cute.
But they're so cute. And what I've learned doing this is that they have such bold personalities. And I'm really interested in looking at hierarchy. That's kind of what my study is looking at. Corticosterone, like, is the dominant female more stressed? Is the subordinate female more stressed? And so I've really been paying attention to those social interactions, and it's very interesting to see how in our family of 5, we have a family of 5 marmoset and a family of 3. In our family of 5, Melody, which is the dominant female, you have to be very careful when you're going in and trying to get the different glittery grapes to them. I say glittery, non-toxic glitter, edible, because you have to tell whose poop is who when you're collecting it.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
So
yes.
We have 3 different types of glitter. We have red, blue, green, and they got to go to the right individual. So when you're going in there, you have to be careful. You got to watch Melody, who is our dominant female and will steal from other females, and Peanut Butter, who is our obese, who is the son of Melody and is obese and rude. I love him though. So you have to kind of like give them their stuff first, and then behind their back, kind of like find everyone else in the exhibit and give them their glitter. You got to like be very aware of what's going on. So that's really fun to see that kind of play out, that hierarchy. So yeah. I got to say, because of the study, and I've literally been in their exhibit for months now, I probably smell like a marmoset. I think I am one at this point.
You do. I noticed as soon as you got here. Yeah.
That's all right. I think it's a compliment.
Oh, no.
No. Oh, don't tell me that. I got to say that definitively now, they're my favorite.
Okay, very cool. So who is this study with?
So the study is my part. So I got inspiration from Monica's study, but my study is on my own. Okay. Because the class is like, you do a low stakes, it's not exactly graduate level research, but it's like a level below, and it's still intense. You do this on your own. You have outside sources that you reach out to. For me, for example, that would be Monica. But there's a teacher who guides you through this process. And then at the end, you got to write look at this formal research paper and present on it. So I'm the only one conducting this study, but I am getting assistance from the zoo staff and Monica's advice. So that's really helpful.
And where exactly is Monica from again, though? You had mentioned the facility, but...
She is at the St. Louis Zoo.
Right. There you go. Okay. You forgot to say that part of it.
Okay.
And I wanted to point that out because you're, again, just to try to sell my audience on how amazing this experience is and how unique Trevor Zoo is. Not only is it an AZA accredited zoo at a high school, not only are y'all doing the work of keepers at a high school, but it's taken seriously in this community. We're recording this at the AZA conference. Y'all are here for the first time. So am I. Probably having your minds blown. So am I.
For sure.
Yeah, and we're interacting with people, the of these other zoos. You're working with the St. Louis Zoo. This isn't an isolated environment. Y'all are part of SSPs. Y'all are part of, research and working together and sharing information. And that's not just you. I know that this has happened with other, what are they called? ISPs? The ISRs, RSPs? ISRs. I knew it was something like that. Letters are hard. But, I know that has also been used in other research in the past, other students' work and stuff. And I just think that's astonishing.
It's really cool. We're lucky to have our science center really active in the zoo because our director, Alan Toussaint?
Toussignon. Something like
French,
that.
Yes.
Alan's awesome.
We just call him Dr. T.
Dr. T.
He's awesome. He's been on the pod. We love him. Yes. Yeah. I ran up to him yesterday and he was so thrown for a second. He was like, oh, you're here. Oh. Yeah. He goes, I'm getting information overload at this place. I was like, me too.
So are we. We're going nuts.
Oh, yeah.
But he teaches a class called Animal Behavior, which I'm going to be taking second semester this coming year. I'm also going to take ISR, which Hannah is. She's way ahead of the curve. I'm still trying to pick what I want to do.
Okay.
You can, if you have an idea, like we said, you run with it and they'll support you, as long as it's safe for the animals, of course. But I'm excited to take Animal Behavior because we'll get to learn more about the animals. It's just an additional asset of having the zoo there to actually go learn instead of textbooks flipping through images and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, it's night and day difference. Yeah, that's really, really cool. Are you guys going to 8:00 sessions? Do we need to wrap this up? almost 8?
I think we're gonna try to hit them. Yes.
Okay, cool.
I believe so.
All right, then. Real quick, I know we have to go because we have to go learn about cool zooey things.
Yes.
But before we do that, we have a tradition on this podcast. It's time now, don't you know? We've come to the end of the show, but there's one tale left to go. You're gonna laugh and say, oh no. It's time for the Rossifari Poop Story. Do you guys have poop stories
Poop story.
for me?
Yeah.
Yeah, like a good amount.
Such
Yes.
condescension. All right.
Tons. Yeah. I often, this is not the story, but this is a little anecdote. So I, from the zoo, walk up to my mom's office to go home so we can drive home. And I walk in and she sniffs and she's like, what happened to you today? And I'm like, you don't want to know. I actually used this story. So I'm writing my college essay drafts right now. Oh, I don't know. Terrible.
yeah.
But
You remember that time?
Oh, I do. I really do. Yes.
yeah.
Also, how old do you think I am that you think I wouldn't remember that time? My goodness.
Well, I don't know.
You never know.
we're all throwing shade here.
So one of my drafts is centered around this story. So I was in the black and white lemur exhibit. They were shifted out. They're a protected contact species. And they have a net. I'm a short person. I'm
Yes.
5'2". And they have a nest box that's above my head and I can't see the top of it. But I could catch a glimpse of something running down the side, and I'm like, that's poop. So I reach up with like a scraping tool, and I guess I flicked my wrist a little too hard because I was holding the dustpan and the scraper, and I was trying to do like a slow and steady motion so it would glop onto the dustpan. I flung poop all over the front of my shirt, and the worst part, on my radio.
Oh, no.
Oh.
So for the next half an hour, I was digging poop out from the crevices of my radio, and like trying not to let anyone see. I got the radio clean. My shirt, unfortunately, because I didn't bring a change that day. Always bring a change. Always. That's what I've learned. Is I had a poop stained shirt for the rest of the day, but at least the radio's okay, and that's all that matters.
Right. And, I mean, let's be honest. Lemur poop is gross.
So gross.
So gross. Yes.
Yeah, especially
Nasty.
the black and white lemurs. It's like soupy,
It's-
gloppy mess. It's
yeah,
awful.
it's very, very liquidy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So how about for you?
My main problem I feel like is with birds because we do have most of our birds are rehab or couldn't be released. So not necessarily for me, but for friends. I know one other curator last year had been pooped on by an owl, just right in the middle of community service. Had to go to class in like 5 minutes. Just that's a problem we have. Yeah, just the poop goes down, and then my other friend, we have wild birds also that just do their own thing. My friend, community service, right on the head. She's also a curator and just had to clean it out, freaked out. And then I've like rubbed up, like my coat or clothing has gotten poop, but I've been very vigilant because I'm a taller person. I'm 5'7". I could see above my head a little bit more in these spaces, but it's definitely a factor whenever you're in a space that try not to get pooped, peed, projectile, whatever. You never know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pee is a whole nother
Pee's
story.
another story. Yes.
I've gotten peed on by so many lemurs
Same.
and
Turtles
marmosets.
even.
Turtles?
The turtles
the
are
turtles are
notorious for
bad.
this. So they go away for the night and they're
Yes.
separate spaces, but you take them out in the morning and put them in like this little pen, and it's got green grass, sunlight, good for them. But I took one out of the crate one day. I think it was one of our Russian tortoises,
Yes.
and I was talking to a visitor, and I was holding it above my leg, and then it was like my leg got really warm all of a sudden.
Yeah.
And I looked down, and this small tortoise, is peeing on me, an exponential amount of pee. I don't know how it fits all down my leg.
At the Night at the Zoo activity we did for our students, we went around at like 8, 9 o'clock, and they got to walk through the zoo. I was holding a turtle, then all of a sudden it just spews everywhere, and I'm like, I'm in front of my peers. Come on, stop
Yeah.
peeing on me. Then Sally the chinchilla is also notorious for projectile
Sally,
peeing at you.
the chinchilla, will projectile pee on you if you try to weigh her,
Weigh her.
which is once every week.
Right.
So you have to hold her away. You gotta hold her butt away from you.
Yes.
Amazing. Awesome. Thank you both so much for doing this. This has been a blast.
Yes, it
Thank you
really
for
has
having
been.
us.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. So there you have it, folks. Another fun little journey into the world of zoos. I'm really grateful to Anne and Hannah and Dan and just the whole team at the Trevor Zoo. What an amazingly cool place, and what a supportive group of people. Not just for their students, but frankly for the podcast. I'm wildly thankful that I discovered this place and that I've gotten to have them on here multiple times and share them with you. And you can be darn sure that as soon as the opportunity presents, I'm going to go up and try and get a good look at Junior Zoo, or, whatever they name him. Because again, contest, you can go and help them name their baby red panda Junior Zoo. Remember, that's what we're going for. Okay, cool. So anyway, I'd like to take a moment to thank my Red Panda level patron, Laura Shank, and also all of my patrons, You Rock. And hey, all y'all, just thanks for being here. I love being able to share cool people and cool animals and cool stories with y'all. It means a lot to me. It really does. So that's it for this week, and I'll be back with the zoo news, actually, later this week, so I shouldn't have said that's it for this week, but I was trying to sound like a cool broadcaster guy. Busted. Oh well. Anyway, remember, friends, the word credits backwards is Steiderk. The Rossifari podcast is produced, hosted, and engineered by John Rossi. Editing and fact-checking by John and Dr. Zoe Vesley Gross. Our theme song is Sevens by Nathan Burke, performed by Nathan and John. Interrupting John theme and additional voices by Taylor Isaac Gray. You can reach John directly on Instagram and Facebook at Rossifari, or by email at rossifaripod@gmail.com. Rossifari is part of the Daydreamer Media Network. Now, stop listening to me and go visit a zoo.